You think people treat you the same no matter what's in your account. You're wrong. This is what actually happens to your friendships, your family, your love life at every level of wealth. And one relationship in this video never changes. See if you can guess which one before the end. Level 1, $0. You're broke, not dramatic broke, just quiet broke. The kind where you say, I'm good, when someone asks if you want to grab food, because good doesn't cost anything and lunch does. Your friend group has a group chat. You're in it. You just don't show up in the replies anymore because every reply leads to a plan, and every plan costs something you don't have. Nobody excluded you. That's the part that stings. You excluded yourself. One, maybe next time, at a time. Until next time stopped being an invitation and started being a formality. Here's the one that actually gets you though. You're at the grocery store, card in hand, and it declines at the register. Not for some big purchase, for $19 of groceries. The cashier says it quietly, like she's protecting you from something, and waves the next person around you while you stand there figuring out which items to put back. Eggs or bread, you choose bread. Nobody behind you says anything, they just watch. The way people watch an accident they're glad isn't theirs. Family's no different. Your cousin's engagement party has an open bar and a $40 suggested gift. You go anyway and nurse one drink for 3 hours, doing math in your head instead of conversation. Your uncle asks what you're up to these days, in the tone people use when they already suspect the answer is nothing. And you give him the version of your life that sounds like a plan instead of a holding pattern. Dating? You match with someone. The conversation's great for 2 days. Then they suggest a restaurant you can't afford to suggest an alternative to. You ghost first, so you don't have to explain. But here's the part nobody expects. Your childhood best friend, the one from 3rd grade, before either of you had anything, shows up at your door on a Tuesday, with 2 coffees and a bag of groceries. He says he had extra of. You both know there's no such thing as extra groceries. He doesn't make you say thank you for it. He just sits on your floor because you don't own a second chair, and stays for 2 hours like that's a totally normal place to be. Remember that. It's the one constant in this entire video. Level 2, $10,000. $10,000 doesn't change your life, but it changes the room. You can say yes to dinner now, and the second you start saying yes, something strange happens. People remember you exist. Your friend group's plans start including you by default again. Not because you asked, but because you're back in rotation. Here's the strange part nobody tells you. The same friend who cancelled on you 3 times last year, the one who stopped replying, he texts you out of nowhere, asking if you want to split a trip to Mexico. You almost say yes before you catch yourself wondering whether he missed you, or just noticed you again. Your aunt mentions, almost casually, that she's always thought you were good with money. You weren't 3 months ago. Nobody said that then. A co-worker who's never spoken to you outside of meetings asks if you want to grab a drink after work. You say yes. Halfway through the conversation, he mentions he's been thinking about starting a business. He doesn't ask you for money, not yet, but you notice he's not asking anyone else either. Dating shifts too, not because you're flashing anything, just because you're calmer. You're not doing math at dinner anymore, and people can feel the difference between someone who's present and someone who's calculating. Calm is attractive. $10,000 bought you calm. Your best friend? Still shows up with coffee sometimes. Still sits on your floor, even though you finally bought a second chair. Doesn't know your balance changed. Doesn't ask. Level 3. $100,000. 6 figures. This is where the room starts rearranging itself around you without anyone admitting it's happening. Your friend group has a hierarchy now, and you didn't notice you moved up it. You get asked where you want to go, not just whether you want to come. Small thing, huge thing. Here's what nobody tells you about this level. It's also where you start losing friends who used to be close to you, not because you changed, but because they can feel the gap and don't know how to stand in it anymore. One friend just fades. No fight, no falling out, just slower replies until the replies stop. You find out months later, through someone else, that he got laid off around the same time your savings crossed 6 figures, and he never once mentioned it to you. You realize he didn't disappear because he stopped caring. He disappeared because the timing made it too painful to be around you. That's the part people don't show in these videos. Going up doesn't just add people, it costs you some too. Family starts asking different questions, not "how are you holding up?" "Have you thought about a financial advisor?" The concern softens into something closer to curiosity. Dating at this level introduces a new problem. You start wondering if they like you, or the version of you that can afford the second date and the third. One date casually mentions she always pictured herself with someone stable. On date number 2, before she's even learned your last name, and you spend the rest of the night wondering what exactly she's picturing. Your best friend still shows up, still brings coffee, though now it's from the place near your new apartment instead of the gas station near your old one. You try to pay him back for once. He lets you, exactly half the time. Some things don't need to be negotiated. They just balance themselves. Level 4. $500,000. $500,000. This is where strangers start treating you like you're already further ahead than you are. A realtor calls you back the same day. A car salesman stops trying to upsell you and starts trying to keep you happy instead. Different tactic, same goal. But the difference is the difference between being sold to and being served. Here's the one that catches you off guard. You go back to the same grocery store where your card declined years ago. Same cashier, somehow, still working there. She doesn't recognize you. Why would she? But you stand at that register paying for groceries you didn't need to put anything back for, and the memory hits you so hard you have to sit in your car for a minute before driving home. Your family starts having a conversation about you that you're not in. You find out secondhand that your parents told a relative they're doing really well now, and it's said with a pride that feels good and strange, at the same time like the love was always there. But now it has a reason it's comfortable saying out loud. That's the uncomfortable truth about this level. Some of the warmth you're getting was always real. It's just that money gave people permission to show it. That doesn't make it fake, it makes it complicated. Your friend group splits in two without telling you. The ones who got closer, because your success feels like proof it's possible for them too. And the ones who got distant because it feels like proof of something else. One friend, at a group dinner, makes a joke about you forgetting where you came from that lands a half second too sharp to actually be a joke. Nobody laughs the way jokes are supposed to make people laugh. Your best friend comes over to the new place, doesn't comment on the size of it, doesn't do the slow whistle everyone else does walking in. Asks how you're actually doing, not how the house is doing. Still the only person who hasn't asked you a single financial question all year. Level 5. $1 million. $1 million. People stop asking you for advice and start asking you for access. A distant cousin you haven't spoken to since a wedding 7 years ago messages you out of nowhere. Warm opener. Catching up energy. 3 messages in, the real reason surfaces a business opportunity. A favor. A loan. Just temporary. You don't answer for 2 days. When you finally do, you say no. He doesn't message again. You realize the relationship was never going to survive a single rejection, which means it was never really a relationship. Here's the part that catches people off guard. You'll start doing this too, without meaning to. A friend from years ago reaches out for the first time in ages. And before you even read past, "Hey, long time," some new reflex in you is already bracing for the ask. You hate that you do this now. You hate it more when you're right. Dating gets stranger here, not because people are more obviously fake, but because you start being unable to tell. Someone you've been seeing for 2 months casually asks what you do. For fun, money-wise. An odd phrase. Half curiosity, half audit. You answer carefully. You didn't used to answer anything carefully. Your friend group, the real one, the small one, that survived every level, they make fun of you for it now. Gently. Must be nice, said with a laugh, not an edge. That's how you know they're still really your friends. They can joke about the gap without resenting it. Best friend still shows up, still doesn't ask. One night, half joking, you offer to pay off his car loan. He says no so fast it surprises you both. Not because he doesn't need it, because the second money enters the friendship, even as a gift, he's afraid of what it might quietly change.